Welcome, Chiaran, to Metallarium Pages. It's a great pleasure to talk with you about Hippotraktor, this new album, and more things. So we're starting by asking, how are you doing today, and how is the band Hippotraktor doing?
I'm doing very good, thank you. And the band is doing great as well. So we just released Stasis and played a release show here in Brussels, in Belgium. So it was a great party, lots of people, um, great hanging. Yeah, we're good. We're happy. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. So when did you start writing songs for this new album? Are all these songs new, or did you rescue any compositions that you left out of your debut album, Meridian, from
Hmm.
2021?
Um, well, the first song I wrote for this album was Descent. So that's the opening track to the new album Stasis. And I wrote this song, I think, well, it was written before Meridian came out. So that's our first album. So you could say this was a song that might have been left out of Meridian, but I think at the time of releasing, yeah, when Meridian was released, it was fully written, but it wasn't completed before we recorded Meridian, so it was written somewhere in between. Um, and then after yeah, I started writing from the moment Meridian was released. So it's been a long journey for sure.
Mm, awesome, awesome. So, talking about this, are you always working on a new music, or do you prefer to focus on it you once you finish it touring? How do you decide when it's time to work on a new songs and a new album? Because it's almost 3 years since your debut. What made you now to write the time to release a new album?
Um, well, I'm always writing music because I write very slow. It's a long and tedious process. So yeah, maybe I'm not the best songwriter, who knows, but I have to get ahead of myself. If I don't start writing at this very moment, it won't be finished in 3 years' time. So um, there's not really a moment where I take a break, let's say. And yeah, I mean, I'm writing in between tours, in between shows. It's a very simultaneous process, if I'm honest. Yeah.
Well, okay, okay. So your debut album received great reviews at that time. After such a successful debut, do you feel any pressure or surprise? What you mean of Meridian with this second album? Have there been any change in your songwriting process compared to your debut?
Yeah, actually, I tried to streamline the process, and I when writing was recording the final guitars at the same time as them being written. So with Meridian, we had a very traditional way of doing things. So we first would write the song, would record a demo of it, record demo vocals on it, and then when it was fully finished, rehearse it and then record it. With Stasis, I didn't do it this way. So I recorded my guitars at the same time, which also meant I did a lot of extra work on riffs that you'll never hear, things that didn't get uh, or didn't make the cut. So I think it was recording guitars this way was um, a quicker way of doing things for sure. I didn't have to re-record everything, but at the same time, it sort of it made the writing process less fun, if you know what I mean. So I had to uh, play everything to the maximum of my capabilities, even if I didn't or wasn't sure it was a good thing to begin with. So I've already started working on the third album, and now this time around I'm just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. And I'm sure I'm gonna have to re-record all guitars again at some point. So it was a cool thing to try, but yeah, I think I'm more fond of doing it the traditional way for now. So that's the main thing actually. For the rest, I think it was very yeah, very traditional. Also, we recorded. Well, usually I write everything, so I make a demo where I program drums, I play bass, I play guitars, I do everything, or everything on the instrumental side anyway, and then I send it to Stefan, who writes the vocals to them. And then after that, I sent everyone their parts, tell them what to play. They start rehearsing, and then we go to the studio and re-record everything, basically, apart from the guitars, which were already done. So
Hmm? Uh,
yeah.
okay, awesome, awesome, awesome. Many bands and musicians see each album as a child, each one special in its own way. So, what makes this album special to you, and what does it bring us musically and lyrically?
I think this album, yeah, Stasis wasn't fun to make. I'll be honest with you, it was not fun. I compressed so many ideas into one single song every time. Like, I think there's enough material in there to make another two albums, maybe. So I really tried to push myself and tried to incorporate as many things as I could and make it as crazy as I could. Maybe because it's been a challenging few years for me anyway. So uh, writing music that kind of represented the way I felt was very important to me. And I also wanted to prove that I could make another album worthy of Meridian. So since Meridian got so many great reviews, I was very anxious that I wouldn't be able to reach the same level once more. So yeah, it was a scary process, but I think reading all the reviews we've had so far, I think I've done a pretty okay job, and musically, we all brought something to the table. So um, I think I'm happy with how it turned out. There's some things I would want to change, but I think with any artwork, at some point you gotta just let it go and uh, move on to other things. So it is what it is, as they say.
Okay. So, and returning to the album, how do you choose the name of your album? Is it a random, or do you try to convey something that encompass the concept of the entire album?
It's a very deliberate thing for sure. Although Stacy's was actually one of the contenders for the name of our debut album, which ended up being called Meridian. So Stasis just didn't feel right for me in the concept of what Meridian became to be. And it was funny because this time around, when writing Stasis, I knew what I was writing about. With Meridian, it's actually a bunch of random songs put together on an album, and it became a thing. Whereas Stasis actually, well, at least instrumentally, is something where I really knew what I was trying to tell. And I remembered Stasis being one of the possible titles for Meridian back in the day, and this time around it just clicked. I knew Stasis was the right. It 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 felt completely right. It's exactly what this album should be called. So yeah, short answer, yes, it's very deliberate.
Mhm. Okay, okay. Well, the album is, as you mentioned, was released was released. So how do you feel? How do you feel? How was the reception of your fans to this new album has been so far? What have the reviews been like? Do you usually read reviews or criticism that are uploaded online? And how do you take it?
Um, it took me a while to learn how to appreciate reviews and criticisms for sure. With Meridian, it was fun, but I was also very anxious to receive a bad review, and we had well, maybe not just one or two, but I remember reading the first review that wasn't overwhelmingly positive, and they said something along the lines of, and it was a review of our second single, Moor of Skies, and the person who wrote it said, "I really don't get what the fuss is about. It's boring. It does nothing to me," and it hit me in a not so very pleasant way. Um, but it also, you know, everyone has their opinion and it should be fine. Anyone should be able to express their opinion, uh, I think anyway. So reading this wasn't easy, but it also is a yeah, it's fine. I mean, I read so many loving things, and then one person saying something else is that's just the way the world works, I guess. Um, and with Stasis, I've only read things I agree. So there's, I mean, I don't think we had any negative reviews, or I didn't read any so far. So there's only been people saying nice things. So that's nice. I'm happy with that. But there's also been some criticism in terms of it being an album that's hard to digest, something that's hard to get into as well. And I completely agree. It's an album where the listener has to invest because if you just put it on and uh, expect that you'll be like, oh yeah, the third song has this nice chorus I want to hear again, you probably won't because you'll be bombarded with so many riffs. Yeah, it's hard to digest everything that's come your way when listening to it. But I also take this as a good thing. This is exactly what I wanted to make. That's exactly how it comes across. So yes, it's not easy to digest, and that's exactly the way I felt when writing it as well. So um, it's something I might learn from, but so far it feels as if the my reality is also the reality of the people listening to it. So that's a good thing. Yeah.
Okay, okay, awesome. What kind of plans do you have for Disney album? How do you perhaps after release show, tours, upcoming things, videos? Who knows? What kind of plans do you have for Disney one?
Well, we're going to Spain for the first time next month, so that's cool, playing a couple of shows there. And then there's a couple of one-offs, some in France, some in Germany, I think, in Netherlands, and we're also doing a tour at the end of October, I think, with Sugar Horse, label mates, and then the band I'm not sure how to pronounce, but in Dutch it would be Pan, but I've heard all sorts of different pronunciations. So that's a cool thing to look forward to for sure. And furthermore, there's some other pleasant things coming our way, so which I can't disclose just yet, but it's looking bright.
Okay, awesome, awesome. Also, as a young band, what inspires you to create new music and a bed of new releases in a digital age where you have hundreds of bands releasing albums every week? So there is a lot of competition. So do you feel
Mhm.
like you have to compete with a lot of bands?
Yeah, sure. I think there's a lot of music, and I, well, I'm not sure about this, but I think, um, no, I'm not thinking. I know there's a lot of great music which I'll never hear, and that's something makes me sad. But I'm also, I want to, the streaming platforms should be held accountable for this. They're at fault here, and I think these systems are built um, to, yeah, to they give certain advantages to certain artists, and the more it's the same with everything really. If you're already getting plays, you'll get more plays, but if you're at bottom of the food chain, it's hard to get up. And I think this is a problem, and I think more music should be able to surface. And I think the industry as a whole isn't doing the best job to give new talent a chance. So I'd say we're still new talent for sure, but it's not been easy. And I'm also sure that without the support of our label, Pelagic Records, and our management and all the other people really investing into this, it just wouldn't be able, it wouldn't be possible. So yeah, there's a lot of competition for sure, and that in itself is totally okay. But I think I think we could deal with it in a better way. Although I don't know how, because I'm a musician. Fuck if I know.
Okay. Being in a band with a sound of varied influence, so how do you see the issue of labels? Fans and media always try to label and start playing with words like symphonic, black, death, thrash, progressive, experimental, avant-garde. I don't know, a lot of labels and etc. So how do you describe your sound yourselves?
Um, I would say I prefer the term progressive metal, um, or something post-progressive, if you like. These are just, I listen to bands who fit that description, so maybe I just want to be part of that crew. I don't know. I think especially our last album is, yeah, as I said, it isn't easy and it does all the things you're not ready for. So it's, if anything, it's not boring. It should surprise you. And I think we succeeded in making something uh, that's surprising. So surprising should be something that fits the progressive category, I think.
Mm. Okay. On the other hand, I imagine you must also mention it sometimes that your sound is reminiscent of certain bands that may have inspired you. But have you ever told that you sounds like a certain band when you really don't?
Uh, People have made all sorts of connections to other music, most of which I never heard. So it's interesting to see how we we seem to sound like certain bands, although I'm not really inspired by them or know nothing of them except for their name. Of course, this is different for bands like Mastodon or Gojira. Um, but still, these are bands I admire for sure, but they're not the bands I listen to most. So um, I feel flattered to be compared to the greats for sure. Um, but I really try not to be. Well, of course, we're inspired by our peers, but I try to get inspiration from life and from things I'm seeing, things I'm hearing also, but I never want to think of a certain song of a certain artist and be like, I want to write this song but different. I don't think that's not a way I wanna approach things. So if I make something that sounds like something else, then that's yeah, something I didn't really do on purpose anyway.
Okay, okay. Switching gears, there is a lot of talk these days about the advancements of the artificial intelligence and how fast it has advanced, that it is even is being used in the arts, both for composing music and for graphic art. How do you see this from your perspective? And do you think in the future you will use it to compose, design on a cover or a video, for example?
Mhm. Well, I think I don't have anything against AI necessarily, at least not in its current form. I find a lot of faults with it. I've used my fair share and tried a lot of things, and it's never at the point where I feel like I haven't felt threatened so far. I think AI is not at the point yet where it can uh, do the things I can do. So, and even if it could, uh, I mean, what's the point of being on this planet if I can't create things? So, uh, this is pretty much one of the only things I enjoy in this life, except for eating and sleeping, maybe. So, uh, even if there's a machine who can do the things I'm trying to do and do it better, then I'm still gonna do this. Like, what else is there to do? That being said, I think AI could be a tool and could be something to help us create things we wouldn't think of necessarily. Or um, I think I would be interested in if let's say there's a riff generator, go for it. Like if I'm stuck, why not? I think there might be a problem if you're making things uh yeah, if you just use the thing that comes out of the AI and don't do anything interesting with it, then it might be uh what's the artistic value in that? I'm not sure. But if you use AI to make something else or to enhance your vision, I don't see any problem with it, if I'm honest.
Okay. Well, we are very close to this interview, and for this aspect. So finally, what is the rock metal scene like in Belgium from your perspective? Do you feel that the pandemic brought negative consequence, as many places where touring is more expensive, for example?
Mhm. Um, well, I think we have a very vibrant music scene here in Belgium. There's lots of friends and people whom I've never met who make the greatest and the most interesting things. So I'm very proud to be a Belgian, I'd say. Um, let's mention a few like bands like Lich and Potamus and Psychonaut and Amon-Ra. I mean, all of these have influenced me in a very big way. And there's lots more. So, yes, the pandemic hasn't been easy on us, but we're still going strong, I think. So, yeah, we got this.
Okay, awesome, awesome. Well, Chiaran, thank you very much for your time and for this interview. We
Thank
wish
you
you
for having
all
me.
the best with the release of your new album, Ecstasis. And so for this, do you have final message for your fans in Latin American and obviously Methalirium followers?
Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to the album. I would love to hear your thoughts on it. And without you, I wouldn't be able to do what I do. So keep it up. You're awesome. Thank you.